my name's Corey J and I'm a visual artist. I primarily work in acrylic medium, but I also sometimes use watercolor. In addition, I have a graphic design degree and I also work in media arts. Today I'm going to teach you how to make your own custom denim jacket, as well as we'll learn a bunch of other useful skills, such as how to use fabric medium, how to accurately transfer a drawing from one material to another material, as well as how to alter a sketch to fit an unusual canvas. So let's go ahead and talk about how to get started. Hey guys, so let's talk about supplies. So the first thing that you're going to need is some paint. You can use any acrylic paint. I have some here from a variety of companies. It doesn't matter as long as it's pretty good quality paint. The next thing you're going to need is textile medium. So I'm using this Delta Creative textile medium, but you can also use the Liquitex textile medium. There's a couple other brands out there. They all work really, really well. You're going to need some brushes. So I like to have a variety of different sizes with me. So when you're working on smaller areas, you can use finer brushes, and when you're working on larger areas, you can use a larger brush just to help the process go along faster. These are some little dram jars that I use for when I mix the textile medium and the paints together. These are optional. You can also mix the textile medium and the paint right on a palette. But I like using these little jam jars just so that later on, if you want to work on your project later and come back to it, you can save them in these little jars. Next, you're going to need a pair of scissors and some masking tape. You're going to need 2 different color pencil crayons, as well as a pencil and a black pen. Here is transfer paper. So this is the 24-inch length. This is the easiest to use for this process because it covers the whole back of most jackets. You'll also need some carbon paper for transferring your image, as well as this here is a piece of foam core that I use, but you can also use cardboard if you don't have foam core accessible to you. And lastly, you're going to need a piece of paper that you can cut your image out of. So you can just use regular paper, but I like to use poster paper because it's a little bit thicker, and that way it doesn't get flimsy and it just has a little bit more weight to it. Makes it easier to transfer the image. And then you will also need a design. So if you want to use my design, make sure you have that with you, or if you want to use your own design, bring that as well. And then in terms of jackets, this is the jacket that I used. It's a Levi's men's small jacket. It was regular price, $110, and I got it off of Facebook Marketplace for $40. So there's always opportunity to purchase a jacket secondhand. You can obviously go buy one new if you'd like as well, but I really like thrifting finds and getting them for less. It just makes it a little bit more exciting. And yeah, once you have all your supplies, then you're ready to move on to transferring your image. That's what we'll talk about next. Accurately transferring your design to your jacket. Cut a piece of tracing paper that is slightly larger than the back of your jacket. Place your cardboard or foam core piece inside the jacket. Lay it onto your jacket and trace the back seams and edges of the jacket onto the tracing paper so that you have an accurate idea of your canvas size, and then cut off the excess paper. Next, move your jacket aside. Use your seam lines as guides on the tracing paper to place where you want your drawing or design to be on your jacket. Tape down your design underneath the tracing paper to ensure it doesn't move while you are tracing. When you are happy with the placement, trace your image or drawing onto the tracing paper. Once you have the main image drawn on, you can make decisions to extend the drawing onto other areas of the jacket for a more dynamic design that fits the back of your jacket span. Tape down your paper and then place the tracing paper on top. You want your paper underneath to capture as much of the image on your tracing paper as possible. So I move the image on the tracing paper as far down the white paper as possible, close to the bottom, and then tape it down as well. Next, place a piece of transfer paper with the charcoal side down on top of the blank paper, but underneath the tracing paper. Trace the outline only of your image using a colored pencil crayon. Not all of your image will fit, and that's okay. We can add the other pieces later by following the same process, or just freehand drawing those missing parts onto your jacket if you are comfortable to do so. Cut out the outline of your design. Once your design is cut out, you can decide if you want to add the missing pieces to have a perfect guide, or if you are okay extending those lines freehand. At this point, make sure you place the cardboard or foam core piece under the jacket so it's easier to draw on. You can use your tracing paper to place your design on your jacket in the perfect position and then make any slight adjustments based on how it looks. Once you have your design stencil in place, you can use it as a guide to draw the image onto your jacket. I use a pen for this and carefully go around the image, marking dark reference lines. Be careful to hold your stencil firmly in place with the hand you are not drawing with so it doesn't move around too much. Next, we will prime the image area. First, make sure you mask any edges or areas you don't want the paint to touch. Next, we will be filling this image in completely with some white paint to create a base layer for all the other colors we will add in the future, and to make sure they will pop. Mix your white acrylic paint with the fabric medium following the instructions on the bottle. Then fill in a flat white layer all over your drawn image. Once the white primer paint is completely dry, you can transfer the details of the design onto the jacket. Line up the original tracing paper drawing with the primed outline on your jacket. Using your transfer paper, once again, slide it underneath the tracing paper, placing the charcoal side down onto your primed surface. Make sure not to move the tracing paper out of place or your details won't be aligned properly. I usually hold it down pretty sturdy with one hand and slide the transfer paper under with the other once it is lined up properly. Then, using a different colored pencil than previously, trace all the details onto your jacket. This way you can see what you have traced and what still needs to be done. That's why I like to use a different color pencil crayon. Once all the details are drawn on, you are ready to paint with color. Now it is time to paint with color. Mix the fabric medium into all your colors to make sure that your design lasts on your jacket. Before you start painting, make sure your cardboard or foam core piece is still in place so no paint seeps through and gets onto the front of your jacket. Now you can start to paint your design. Here are a couple tips for you when painting. You might need to do a few coats of paint in some sections to get the best coverage. You want to make sure you take your time as the paint is quite thick and requires patience. Another tip is to use a right size brush for the section you are working on. If you are painting a smaller section, make sure you use a finer brush. If you are painting a large section, save yourself time and use a larger brush. Once you finish painting all your sections, you might choose to outline your design to give it more clarity. Make sure your paint is completely dry before you start. It is easiest to use a fabric marker for this step. However, since I'm not concerned about how the marker will fade over time, I just used a Sharpie. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me on this creation journey today. Hope you learned some new skills that you can take into your art practice and enjoy your new custom denim painted jacket. See you next time.